Cleveland County. Welcome to a beautiful day. We're standing in the middle of a vineyard, My Love, and I'm with Ann and Charles Edwards, and they are the owners of Baker Buffalo Vineyard, Winery and Vineyard. I guess that's the proper name. The only winery in Cleveland County at this point. And we're going to be tasting wines here in a little bit, and we'll be doing the tasting. But I want to know what made you go from the cleaning business, Charles, am I correct, to making wine?
Well, I didn't have a job, to be honest with you, Deborah, really. I started as a chemist out of college, did that for about 10 years, and then from there, I got sick. And then we sold the business, and in turn, we'd go to California to visit our daughter, fell in love with the wine business in Napa, Sonoma, and came back, and I suggested to Ann that we do grapes. She said, "You don't know a thing about grapes?" "I know, but I can learn." And she said, "Let's go to the beach with a book." And I'm saying, "Ann, I can't do that." And so she agreed, and we planted Chardonnay in '03. The next year we planted Cabernet Sauvignon in '04, and now we have 10 acres of vines out here with Cabernets and Chardonnays and Merlots and other vinifera, plus the one that we're proud of too is the Muscadine and the Scuppernong. And in turn, so we get some of those Muscadines and Scuppernongs from you too, which we appreciate very much.
Well,
but that's how we got started with it, really. And but I didn't have a job. And in turn, but anyway, we're excited about it. Ann's family farm's alive and doing now and things like that. And in turn, so we're real proud of what we're doing. Our goal is to make good wine. If we can do that, we'll accomplish what we want at this stage of our life.
I understand. Now, Ann, I do know that you all traveled all the way to Surry County to learn how to make wine.
Yes.
And how did you manage that?
Well, somebody had to listen at class. People asked me why I went, and I said, well, somebody had to listen, and somebody had to drive so Charles could take a nap on the way up there. But we went for, I guess, two years, and took the enology and viticulture classes, and learned a lot, and met a lot of nice people that, you know, we were among the older members of the class, but not the oldest. But and so it's been fun for us too to watch what some of the younger folks have done. In fact, one of our classmates is the winemaker at Shelton's now. So
good.
And he was in high school when he was taking the classes.
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, so you all actually, and I know this for a fact, you all work together in making the wine. I mean, I've seen you both out here together, and that's just wonderful. You mentioned vinifera and muscadine. I don't know that our viewers quite understand. To them, they may be a grape's a grape, but there is a huge difference. So, and Charles, you mentioned the vinifera that you started growing.
Mm-hmm. The vinifera is a French variety that was propagated and grown in the Europe section of the world, and in turn, but then they came to the United States too. And but the muscadine is native to the southeast, Virginia, North, South, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and in turn, but we want both, and in turn, we grow the vinifera because that's a dry wine, and a lot of people like the dry wine. And we were told numbers of years ago, after we had planted the vinifera, the gentleman said, "You better plant the muscadine," and I'm glad we did, because the muscadine is native to the southeast. It grows really well. It's not as susceptible to all the diseases that the vinifera is, because vinifera is not native to our area here.
Right.
But we want to please somebody when they come in the door to have the wine that they like. And probably our best seller is the red muscadine. We call it Mule Barn Red after the red barn that Ann's grandfather built here in the 1880s on the farm. And so that's the difference in the two. And the vinifera are harder to grow than the muscadines because they're susceptible to a lot of the diseases and things.
Well, they're not native to here, which the muscadines are. And Ann, when I do a tasting with you, we'll do both. I believe. I believe Charles has an idea of what to give. So we'll talk about the difference in taste as well. So we are going to now move into the tank room where the grapes that were picked from these vines back behind us.
And your vines.
Well, thank you. Were crushed and then put in the tank, and so they're kind of resting but still making wine.
Correct.
So that's where we'll go. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So just stand by, folks. We're going to take a little break so we can make the move. We'll see you in the tank room.
Listen up. Do you have a passion for cooking? A desire to learn more about the craft of professional food preparation? If so, now's a great time to check out Cleveland Community College's brand new Culinary Arts Academy. This exciting 3-month program offers hands-on training for jobs in the food service industry. Across the nation, food service is one of the fastest growing industries. With your training at CCC's Culinary Arts Academy, you can compete for jobs in hotels, restaurants, conference centers, cruise ships, and other settings. Enroll in CCC's program and you'll gain in-depth training in food procedures, preparation, and commercial kitchen operations. Plus, the program includes a special add-on. You'll get your certificate in cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR training. You can earn good money too. Depending on where you work, starting salaries range from $20,000 to $50,000. In just 12 weeks, you can be well on your way to gaining the know-how to handle food safely, properly, as a true professional. Now ask yourself, are you ready to start your journey today at CCC?
Are you feeling under the weather? Green around the gills? Not 100%? Sick as a dog? Then be a no-show and stay out of the loop. Don't crunch the numbers and work inside the box. In other words, if you're sick, stay home from work. Stay.
These lines, like the creases in my father's hands, show the hard work and sacrifices of a line worker. These lines are the connections my father helped build between people, businesses, and organizations. They tell the story of how we invested in ourselves. We're public power, and these lines are our lines.
All right, so here we are, Charles. Tell us where we are.
We're in the barrel and tank room right now, Deborah, and in turn, this is where the wines are aging. And
This is where the magic happens.
well, it really is. It really is. And in turn, you do different wines different ways. Say, like we've got Chardonnays, we've got Rieslings, we've got Traminets up here. We have Muscadines, and we have Scuppernaugs in the tanks back there. And in turn, so they're stored and aged in this. Plus, also, some of these tanks are fermenters, too. And that means you're converting that sugar to alcohol in the tanks like that.
Okay.
And in turn, that's particularly like your white wines, like your Chardonnays, your Cabs, and things like that. They're doing fermented in these. And then in turn, whereas your reds are fermented on the skin. And that gives it that good, rich red color that you have the pigment that comes out in it. And that's the thing that's best for your health with it from there.
And the tannins, too.
Oh, the tannins, too.
Tannins
That's
are on
exactly
the
right, really.
skins,
And then so those are for the vinifera white wines and the muscadine reds and whites back there.
Okay.
And the barrels here now are for your vinifera red wines that want oak. You want to have an oak taste to it like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll bring these in after you ferment in open top containers, and in turn what you're doing is allowing that pigment to associate with the juice that's becoming wine.
Right.
And once the fermentation is over, and you measure that with instruments too, and it tells you when it is alcohol at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So from there you take it from that container, that harvest bin that you ferment in, and we'll press the juice off of it, and then in turn bring it in here and put it in a tank, and we'll leave it in that tank for maybe like 3 or 4 weeks or a month, and then what happens if you have any solids in the wine, it will fall to the bottom. And in turn, once it falls to the bottom, then we take and pump off the wine and pump it into the barrels. And then in turn, then what's left, the sediment of the bottom, we use it for compost around the farm.
Oh, of course.
And
That
in turn,
makes
well, some
sense.
folks would maybe make beer out of it too, like that. But we
Oh,
don't have a lot. With us only making about 1,000 cases, we don't have a lot of finished product like that with it from there,
Right,
like
right.
that.
Question. There's French oak, there's American oak, there's, do you know what wood these barrels are?
It's all white oak. It's all white oak.
Okay.
Everything is white oak.
White
and in
oak,
turn, but
okay.
there, it's the wood determines what the barrel is. So this is an American barrel right here. And in turn, this comes out of the heartland of the United States, probably. Heartland being Missouri, Indiana, that area of the United States. And
Oak.
yes, ma'am. It's
Oak.
everything in here is white oak.
Okay. Well, all right, now what's beside you right here?
Well, this right here, these are
darker.
brandy barrels. These are brandy
and
barrels.
so we're going to talk about that.
Right,
We're going to talk about that. Okay, that's good.
But
That's good.
what I do is I read 5 or 6 magazines each month about the business to try to learn more about the business, and in turn we know some things, but we don't know a lot of things
Well,
that we
sure,
want to learn.
sure.
And so one of the magazines it stated, or several of them, that Madavi, Thousand Stories, Apothic, other wineries out of California area are taking the Cab Sauvignon that's aged in these barrels here, and then in turn putting it over into barrels like this. Now,
Which had
bourbon in
bourbon
it.
in 'em.
And
Okay.
these are brandy barrels here. These are bourbon barrels here. And in
Okay.
turn, you have 2 different ones.
Right.
And the reason we're doing that is Ann's father and grandfather made liquor here on the farm
Okay.
before Prohibition.
Okay.
They made brandy and whiskey
which was legal at the time.
at the time, and in turn, but they had a little bit of situations too, I'm sure, like others, with making the moonshine like
right,
that.
right.
And in turn, our motto here at Baker is from shine to milk to wine, with Ann's father being the dairyman, and then
Right.
Ann and I making the wine. And then so what we're doing is we're getting ready to start going to Kentucky and buying barrels that we will see, and in turn bringing them back into flavor our Cabernet or our Merlot with those type barrels.
with a little taste of
The bourbon in it, right. And in turn, it's
Alright.
not strong bourbon. It is a Cabernet Sauvignon with a slight bourbon flavor.
Right,
And it's
right.
not a bourbon. If it's a bourbon, you go buy a bourbon.
Right.
But in turn, so we're excited about doing that in memory of Ann's father and
Oh,
grandfather.
I think that's great. That's great.
And then-
Now, we need to see you bottle the wine.
Well, that's correct. Now,
So
really.
that's our next step, folks. We're going to break right here and get prepared, and then we'll show you how they bottle what's in here into a bottle that you pour out.
Okay, good.
At CCC, we're all about training students for exciting careers. Our Barber Academy is a great example. Did you know jobs for barbers, stylists, and other related fields are increasing? Competition for the best jobs will be strong. With your CCC training, you'll have a definite edge. Our courses give you the skills and knowledge you need to sit for North Carolina's Apprentice Barber exam. To move up the ladder, you need at least 1 year of on-the-job training before you take the state's registered barber exam. If you pass, it's official. You'll be a registered barber. While private barber schools can cost $10,000 or more, CCC makes it affordable. Plus, you can complete our Barber Academy in only 15 months. Now the question is, are you ready to start your journey today?
Hi, America.
Hi, America.
Hi, America.
It's me with quarantine hair.
Listen, it's kind of crazy out there right now.
It's a little bit mad, isn't it?
During this crisis,
Over 37 million people.
don't have access to nutritious food.
That's 1 in 12 seniors.
And 1 in 7 children.
In fact, millions of kids aren't able to receive a free
Or reduced price school lunch right now.
And seniors are self-isolating to protect their health.
But that means they can't get access to the food that they need.
But there is a way we can all help.
with Feeding America.
Their network of 200 food banks are up and running.
Distributing food to people and communities they serve all across the country.
If you need help,
Or if you can help,
Please visit feedingamerica.org.
To locate a food bank in your community.
You can count on organizations like Feeding America.
to be there for you.
Together.
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 together,
Together, let's feed the love.
We can do this, guys.
All right, Charles, we're here on the bottling line. Tell us what you do first.
Well, what we're doing is we've actually got the wine out of the tank or out of the barrels in there, and then we'll put it in a tank and let it settle for a few days. And then we'll take it out and put it in that blue container right there.
Okay.
And then from there, we will take and pump the wine out of that blue through that pump up into this reservoir here.
Okay.
And then in turn, what we do from there is we take nitrogen and in turn sparge these bottles. And what nitrogen is it's a chemical, a liquid that is lighter than the air, and so it will come to the top and protect that void between the cork and the bottle and the wine and make sure it doesn't go bad.
Okay.
So what I'm doing now is I'm sparging the bottle with nitrogen now. And then in turn what we do is we take this bottle. It's not really sophisticated like a lot of the big wineries.
Well, but hey.
But it works, Deborah. It really does.
Smaller the better.
And in turn, so we can do this many. And in turn, then what we do from there, I'll take these and put them here. Now Doug can, we'll cork it right there.
All right. So Doug, we're coming around to you. Doug, what's your last name? What's your last name, Doug?
Bale.
Okay. Bale, I got it. All right, and Julie is wiping the bottles off. Get them clean.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, you don't have to lift weights, do you, Doug?
No, ma'am.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Coming around here. All right, Robert. And your job is?
Take these capsules right here.
Okay.
And we pop them on the top.
Okay.
Like so. Then when you get them popped on top, I take my little special tool here.
Oh, yeah.
Which-
Looks like a big hair dryer.
Yes, ma'am, it does. And what it does, it melts the capsules. As you can see, I did 3. Look,
Okay.
not good.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah. Okay.
Then I'll move over to this section. Once I set up my machine, which is already set,
Oh, look
and then
at
you
that.
come out with a beautiful finished product.
What
like
a great, yeah, that's it. Let's put a label on another one. I love that.
Okay, it's very, once
Love that.
once you get this thing tamed, you got it made. It gave me trouble for a while, but,
Yeah, and it's a
and
perfect
then
location.
I put it in the box here,
Yeah.
and then after I put it in the box, as you can see, I can run these off pretty quick, see?
Oh, yeah. Wow. This is an assembly line.
Yes, ma'am. And we all know what we're doing, so it's not hard
And
to,
that's a real good point. Y'all have your own special job.
yes, ma'am.
All right, so we're going to fill up this case, and then we're going to move the case to the storage room. All right.
yes, ma'am.
Good deal.
So here's what I do
Great.
here.
Okay.
I just take it up. Usually I would fill up my hand truck first, but we're just going to carry one back.
All right, so we're heading from the tank and barrel, and just proceed, Robert. Okay, coming through the tasting room. Well, I'll be here in just a minute tasting all this luscious wine. Into the storage room. Woohoo! And here are all the bottles. And this is...
These are some that we had already, so these are the older ones. So what we do is we put the new in back first, the old in front,
Sure.
so you get the old out first.
Sure. This is great. Thank you, Robert.
You're so welcome.
Woohoo! All right, so we're here in, it's all insulated, and I hope our film person got all this. These are probably the history of the wines that they've done here. So this is great. Okay, well stay tuned. We're now going to be tasting some of these wines. So hang on. We'll be right back.
These days, having a secure job really matters. Take plumbing, for instance. No matter what's going on with the economy, there will always be a need for professional plumbers to fix problems. help finish a new home or renovation, and make sure the plumbing works just right. Plus, professional plumbers can make a very good living. CCC offers what you need to get going with your career as a plumber. We have a fast-track certificate program to give you top-notch residential plumbing skills and knowledge of code requirements. Our more in-depth diploma program can give you the technical know-how and skills to handle residential and some big commercial projects. You learn how to lay, install, and maintain piping fixtures and systems for gas, hot water, drainage, sprinkling, and plumbing processing systems in any environment. Job security, good pay, professional status. Now the question is, are you ready to start your journey today?
Every day is different. You have the ability to forge your own path. The industry's wide open. You've always got job security. And also write your own paycheck. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
For many kids, just showing up to school is a challenge. Staying through graduation is even harder. So at Communities and Schools, we do just what our name says. Our staff brings a community of resources to meet each student's needs right in their school, doing whatever it takes to keep kids focused, so they see what we see, a bright future. Join in at communitiesinschools.org.
Hi folks, we're in this cute little tasting room of Baker Buffalo Vineyard and Winery, and we've got Ann. You've already been introduced to Ann, and she's the supreme person to put behind the bar, Ann. I've done several wine tastings with you, and you are top-notch. Explain the wine so well. But this is something new that you've come up with, and we're going to make use of that with the wines that we're going to be tasting. So do you want to explain what this is?
Yes, this is our flights. And with COVID, we are not doing true tastings of all 13 wines that we have just
regular
because
tastings
regular
like
tastings
we used to
do. But people are allowed to do a sampling of 3 or 4. And with the flights, you choose 4 different wines that equals 2 glasses of wine, and then you take it out and enjoy the 4 different wines.
4 different wines,
right,
sure.
Right.
So people kind of do their own wine tasting.
Right, and they look at the selections, and a lot of people
This
have
little
been
card
a little
right
tasting
here.
card, and then on the flight we have numbers, and the ones that you choose we put numbers, right. And Deborah chose her 4 ahead of time.
I have.
So that she has.
I wanted you to all to watch Ann open up a bottle. Okay,
Right.
very good, very
And a
good.
lot of people say I should have an automatic, but I just like this little double-hinged
I always found
bartender's
people were fascinated with watching you open up a bottle of wine.
And to me, it's quicker than
I agree.
the automatic
I
kinds.
agree.
But,
Right, so the wines we've chosen is Baker Buffalo Chardonnay, barrel-aged Chardonnay, the Chamberson, which we saw in the tank room. This is their Cabernet Sauvignon in the bourbon barrel, and then the Milkhouse White, which is really my favorite. So we have to do my favorite.
on that. Okay, and I'm going to change these because I numbered them this way. So
Oh,
we'll
okay,
do that way.
that's fine.
But
Ann. Okay.
we have 2 Chardonnays, but now if this were a regular flight, this would be filled up more.
Oh, of course.
But, and since, so that's the barrel-aged Chardonnay, which means that it aged in a French oak barrel.
Okay, because there are techniques that you can still make a good Chardonnay and not age it in oak. But this is an oaked Chardonnay.
And we have both, but, and now this one is the C.D. Baker, which is a Cabernet Sauvignon that after it aged for about 2 years in the oak barrels, it went into bourbon barrels.
Okay.
Now the next one is the Chamberson, and the Chamberson is a hybrid that was developed back in the 1800s, and unfortunately, the gentleman that propagated two types of vinifera grapes together to make a new grape did not write down what the two grapes were.
Correct.
Before he died.
And this was in France,
Right.
is
so-
where he developed this.
And we had always heard it was a French-American, but I think in the 1800s, the American grape would have been muscadine, and I don't think that's what it is.
Right.
So it's probably too
I know
French.
it's called that, right. Okay, and
On
then
that.
number four
Four
is going
is
to be
the-
my used to be favorite.
And this is made from the Scuppernong grape, which is a member of the muscadine family, but it's
Good.
the white grape of the muscadine.
Good.
Okay, and instead of using the same glass, Deborah's gonna use a different glass for each one so we don't have to rinse in between.
And then as I taste, Ann, I'm hoping you'll be able to talk a little bit about,
more.
and of course, we've already talked
Talked a
about
little-
some of the
some.
Chardonnay,
Right.
but we don't have much time here, so I'm just going to taste a little bit.
All right, and this one is aged in the oak. And we do
Got carried away.
Right, we do the French oak just because it has a smaller grain to it and makes a finer taste. The French oak does instead of the American oak. We prefer the French oak in it.
All right. Could be a little buttery flavor because I have, it's oaked.
Right.
All right, this is the bourbon barrel.
Right, and this is the wine is a Cabernet Sauvignon, and the bourbon barrels that we use are from Heaven Hills Distillery out of Kentucky. We just kind of looked into being able to have access to those.
Okay.
And then the Chambertin, which I've already...
Yeah, may I have a glass?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
I forget.
Oh, I'm loving this way to do this, Ann.
Right.
Oh, it's great.
And if it were normal, you would get a
Get it
2.5
full. Sure.
serving, so it's like 2 glasses of wine. And the Chambertin, we planted it to be a blending grape with the Granda, which is a red blend that we produce. But it has become very popular as a standalone. It has its following of
Thank you.
people.
I'm clearing my palate because these are all heavier wines. Oh, and I need my Milkhouse Red.
Right.
Oh,
No, it's your
God.
Milkhouse White, Milkhouse White. And this is made from the Scuppernong. We have the Mule Barn Red that is made from the muscadine. But the Scuppernong, on our tasting card, we say it reminds you of summer grandmothers if you grew up in the South.
Oh, it's still fabulous.
That's good.
And
glad you
I'm
like
wondering,
it.
of course, all I sold you this year were my reds, but
Reds, so-
I wish you'd bought some of my whites to put in here. Next year,
I
you
think,
remind Charles.
right, well, I think you ran out.
I might have. I might have.
So,
We've run out of time.
okay.
Thank you all so much for
Thank you.
watching. I'm going to finish all this. So happy rest of the month, and we'll see you again.
Education is our most powerful tool to improve and change our world. Hi, I'm Rhonda Benfield, your host for School Matters. Join me for a new program every other week with information from and about the students and staff of Cleveland County Schools. Discover what our schools are doing to challenge students and help them reach their full potential. You can catch us on Spectrum Cable Channel 19 or stream us live on C19.tv.